In the fall of 2019, Ethan, a 24-year-old computer science dropout, found himself adrift in the rusting industrial sprawl of his Midwest hometown. Jobless, living in his mother's basement, and nursing a growing obsession with the underbelly of the internet, Ethan spent his nights trawling forums and subreddits. He wasn't looking for trouble, not at first. He was just bored, chasing the thrill of uncovering something hidden, something forbidden. That's when he stumbled across a thread on a lesser-known hacking forum, buried in a corner of the clear web. Anyone access the Red Room streams? Real or myth? The term Red Room was a dark web urban legend, live-streamed torture sessions, supposedly hosted on hidden servers, where viewers could pay in cryptocurrency to watch or even direct the horrors. Most dismissed it as a creepypasta, a spooky tale born from the internet's collective imagination. Ethan, skeptical but intrigued, followed the thread's breadcrumbs. A user named NullPointer posted a string of numbers and letters, a Tor network address. Against his better judgment, Ethan copied it. He'd dabbled in the dark web before, mostly poking around marketplaces selling knockoff sneakers or pirated software. The process was familiar. Boot up the Tor browser, paste the address, and wait. The page loaded slowly, a black screen with red text in a jagged font. Access requires verification. Send 0.01 BTC to proceed. Below it, a countdown timer ticked down from 24 hours. Ethan's heart thudded. This felt different, too real, too deliberate. He closed the browser and tried to sleep, but the timer's red digits burned in his mind. The next day, curiosity gnawed at him. He checked his crypto wallet. 0. 0.3 BTC, scraps from a failed trading experiment. Against a rising sense of dread, he sent the payment. A new link appeared in his inbox within minutes, along with a single instruction: do not share. The link opened a bare-bones interface, just a video player and a chat box. The stream was offline, but the chat buzzed with anonymous handles: Watcher7, Voidcaller, Bloodkey. They typed in cryptic fragments. Last one screamed for hours, worth every Satoshi. When's the next show? Ethan's stomach churned. He told himself it was a scam, a roleplay for edgelords. But something about the chat's casual cruelty felt authentic. At midnight, the stream went live. The video showed a concrete room lit by a flickering bulb. A figure sat bound to a chair, face obscured by a burlap sack. Ethan's breath caught. The figure twitched, muffled whimpers escaping the sack. A distorted voice crackled through the feed. Welcome, bidders. Rules are simple. Highest bid chooses the tool. Stream ends when it ends. The chat exploded with numbers. Bids in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero. Tools were listed: knife, pliers, drill. Ethan's hands shook as he slammed his laptop shut. He didn't sleep that night. He told himself to delete the link, to wipe his browser history and forget it. But the next evening, he was back. The stream was live again. A different figure, a different room, but the same setup. The chat was more frenzied, users egging each other on, bidding higher. Ethan didn't bid, didn't type. He just watched, frozen, as the distorted voice narrated each cut, each scream. When the stream ended, the chat lingered, users dissecting the performance like critics reviewing a movie. Ethan vomited in his bathroom sink. Days blurred into weeks. Ethan stopped leaving the house. His mother knocked on his door asking why he looked so pale, why he wasn't eating. He mumbled excuses, but his eyes were glued to the screen. The streams weren't daily, but they were frequent enough to keep him hooked, each one more brutal than the last. He told himself he was investigating, that he'd report it to the FBI once he had proof. But deep down, he knew he was lying. The dark web had its claws in him, and the Red Room was his fixation. One night, a new message appeared in the chat. VIP access available. 1 BTC for private stream. You choose the subject. Ethan's blood ran cold. The idea of a custom order was too much, even for his desensitized mind. He typed his first message in the chat. Is this real? The response was immediate, from a user called Gatekeeper. Real enough for you to keep watching. The chat laughed, emojis and LMAOs flooding the screen. Ethan felt exposed, like they could see him through his webcam. He taped it over that night. His obsession deepened. He started digging into the dark web's infrastructure, trying to trace the streams. He found whispers of a group called the Syndicate, a loose network of hackers and criminals rumored to run the Red Room. Some posts claimed they used abandoned servers in Eastern Europe. Others said they hijacked cloud networks to stay untraceable. Ethan cross-referenced data breaches and server logs, losing himself in code. He was no hero, but he needed answers, needed to know how far this went. One night he found a hidden forum linked to the Syndicate. It wasn't about streams. It was worse. Posts detailed acquisitions. People snatched from forgotten corners of the world, sold to the highest bidder. Ethan read about a woman taken from a rural village in Romania, a homeless man from Chicago, a runaway teen from Manila. Each had a profile: age, weight, condition. The forum wasn't just a marketplace. It was a catalog of human lives, reduced to commodities. Ethan's hands trembled as he scrolled. He wanted to believe it was fake, but the details were too precise, too mundane in their horror. Then he saw it, a post with his hometown's name. A new acquisition listed: male, 24, unemployed, isolated, easy target. Bidding starts at 0.5 BTC. Ethan's heart stopped. The description matched him perfectly. He checked his VPN, his Tor settings. Everything was secure. But the post included a grainy photo, snapped from a distance, showing him walking to the corner store. He hadn't noticed anyone following him. Panic surged. He deleted his browser, wiped his hard drive, and smashed his laptop with a hammer. It didn't matter. The next day, his phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. "You watched. Now you play." Ethan didn't sleep. He boarded up his windows, kept a kitchen knife under his pillow. Every creak in the house was a threat. He tried contacting the police, but what could he say? That he'd been watching illegal torture streams and now thought he was being hunted? They'd laugh him off or arrest him for accessing the dark web. He was alone. A week later, his mother went missing. She'd gone to the grocery store and never came back. Ethan found a note slipped under his door. "Bid accepted. Stream tonight." He screamed, tore the note to shreds, but the words were seared into his brain. He didn't have a computer anymore, but he borrowed an old tablet from a neighbor, hands shaking as he reinstalled Tor. The stream loaded. There, in a concrete room under a flickering bulb, was his mother, bound and gagged. The chat was alive with bids. Ethan typed frantically, "Stop this! I'll pay anything!" Gatekeeper responded, "Too late. You're not a bidder anymore. You're the show." The screen went black. Ethan heard footsteps upstairs. His mother's scream echoed in his memory as the door to the basement creaked open. He clutched the knife, but it felt useless. The dark web wasn't just a place, it was a trap, and he'd walked right into it. Ethan Klein was not a hacker. He was a curious journalism student at a mid-tier university, obsessed with uncovering the world's shadows. While other students documented local protests or wrote fluff pieces on campus events, Ethan had set his sights on something darker: the elusive dark web. His fascination began after reading about the Silk Road, the infamous dark web marketplace shut down by the FBI in 2013. The more he read, the more intrigued he became, not by the drugs or weapons, but by what existed beyond those marketplaces. Whispers in forums mentioned red rooms, murder for hire, and sites so depraved they were wiped from existence within days. He didn't believe in red rooms. Those, he thought, were just urban legends designed to scare people away. But in late 2022, something changed. A Reddit user posted a thread titled, "My brother disappeared after accessing a hidden service called Playpen Revival. Be careful." The name stuck with Ethan. Playpen had been real. A massive child exploitation site taken down in 2015 after the FBI used a controversial technique to track its users. The word revival suggested something worse: resurgence. Ethan knew the legal risks, but he couldn't resist. He installed Tails OS, connected through multiple Tor nodes, and began combing directories for any mention of Playpen Revival. Weeks passed. Then he found it. The site didn't look like much. Just a black background with white monospaced text. "Welcome to PR. You do not belong here. If you believe you do, enter the passphrase." He tried Playpen. Nothing. He tried random guesses, usernames from forums. Eventually, he entered a phrase he saw repeated on an old forum archive. Admin watches all. The screen blinked, then opened to a homepage. PR is not what you think. PR is not drugs. PR is not porn. PR is performance. If you're here, you're part of the performance, and the administrator is always watching. There were no images, no hyperlinks, just a schedule. Tuesday, 2 a.m. UTC, The Marionette, live. Friday, 3 a.m. UTC, Shepherd's Knife, live. Below that, a chat box with a single pinned message. Minimum bid for participation, 0.5 BTC. Ethan's heart pounded. Bitcoin? Participation? He didn't know what they meant. Was it a scam? A hoax? He clicked the chat box. Messages poured in from anonymous users. How long does Marionette last? Is Shepherd live or pre-recorded? Admin, I sent 1.2 BTC, confirm my place. Where's the last replay? Ethan lurked. He watched. He saw usernames being tagged and then removed. One in particular caught his attention. Watcher17. It's real. I watched Shepherd last week. It's real and it's sick. He DM'd Watcher17. To his surprise, the user replied, Don't watch it. Don't stay here. You think you're just watching, but it knows. The admin knows. People don't leave. They disappear. Ethan scoffed. Edgelord fear tactics. But something about the tone, desperate, broken, lingered. Tuesday came. Ethan logged in. The screen showed static at first. Then a dimly lit room appeared. Walls draped in red curtains, a camera fixed to a single chair in the center. A figure sat strapped to it. They were masked, gagged, barely moving. The chat erupted. New girl. That's real. That's fucking real. She's drugged. Admin, can we control now? Start Marionette. Then the feed flickered. A synthesized voice came through. Welcome, audience. Tonight, you are the puppeteers. You vote. She dances. The game begins. A poll appeared on screen. Cut her hair, break a finger, remove the mask, end stream. Ethan froze. The votes rolled in. He watched in horror as the majority chose break a finger. The masked figure screamed as a black-gloved hand entered the frame and snapped her left index finger backward. It didn't cut away. It didn't blur. It was real. Ethan shut his laptop. He felt like vomiting. He reported the site to the FBI the next day. He sent links, screenshots, the schedule. No response. A week passed. Then 2. On the 3rd week, he got a call. Mr. Klein, this is Agent Weaver with the Cyber Division. You sent us information about a site called Playpen Revival. Can we meet? He met the agents at a local field office. They were grim, tired. Weaver explained, We've known about PR for months. It's highly decentralized. No central host. They move it, fragment it, mirror it. We think it's being operated by someone who used to be part of the original Playpen takedown. Ethan blinked. You mean law enforcement? Weaver nodded slowly. It's possible. There's evidence someone leaked NIT tools used in the original FBI operation. Whoever runs PR knows how to evade us. Worse, when we tried to follow your link, the page didn't load. We think you were targeted, specifically allowed in. Ethan felt his stomach sink. Why me? Weaver didn't answer. That night, Ethan's laptop turned on by itself. It was 3:04 a.m. The screen showed static. Then the same red-curtained room. Empty. A message appeared. Curious little mouse, you reported us. Do you think you're safe? Ethan tried to turn it off. The screen stayed on. You watched Marionette. You participated. You are marked. Say goodbye. His webcam light flicked on. He yanked the cord from the wall. Ethan disappeared 3 days later. His roommate reported him missing after he failed to return home or answer calls. His laptop was found melted, as though exposed to intense heat. Forensics found no trace of forced entry, but his journal remained. Inside were notes detailing everything. Playpen Revival, the chat logs, screenshots printed from the site. On the last page, written in shaky handwriting, the admin is real. It's not a person. It's something else now. It knows when you watch, when you listen, and it never forgets. PR isn't a website. It's a ritual, and watching is enough to be part of it. The dark web was a labyrinth of secrets, a digital underworld where curiosity could be a dangerous vice. For Ethan, a bored college sophomore with a knack for coding, it was a playground. He'd spent countless nights trawling hidden forums, decrypting files, and dodging scams, always chasing the thrill of uncovering something forbidden. Most of what he found was mundane, knockoff markets, pirated software, or edgy manifestos from wannabe anarchists. But the rumors of red rooms haunted him. Live-streamed torture chambers, they said, where paying viewers could dictate the horrors inflicted on victims. Urban legend or not, Ethan couldn't resist the lure. It was 2 a.m. On a frigid November night, his dorm room lit only by the glow of his laptop. Ethan sipped stale energy drink, his fingers dancing across the keyboard as he navigated Tor's onion links. He'd stumbled onto a new forum, AbyssHub, buried deep in a chain of encrypted servers. The interface was crude, just white text on a black background, but the threads were alive with cryptic posts. One caught his eye. Red Room Access, 0.5 BTC. No fakes. Real time. You choose. The post included a string of numbers and letters. An onion URL. Ethan's heart thudded. Red rooms were supposed to be myths, scams to fleece gullible thrill-seekers. But 0.5. Bitcoin was steep, about $3,000 at current rates. Scammers didn't usually demand that much up front. He hesitated, his cursor hovering over the link. His bank account was thin, but he'd mined some crypto last semester. The rational part of his brain screamed to close the tab. But curiosity gnawed at him. What if it was real? Just a peek wouldn't hurt. He transferred the Bitcoin from his wallet, wincing as the transaction confirmed. The link loaded a blank page with a single text box prompting for a code. Ethan copied the string from the form and hit enter. The screen flickered, and a grainy video feed appeared. No audio, just a dimly lit room with concrete walls, a metal chair bolted to the floor, and a table lined with tools. Knives, pliers, a blowtorch. In the chair sat a figure, hooded and bound, motionless. A chat window blinked on the right side of the screen. User 001. What's the menu tonight? User 02 cut off a finger. 0.1 BTC. Admin. Payment received. Specify which finger Ethan's stomach churned. The chat moved fast, users bidding like it was an auction. He told himself it was staged, some sick performance art. But the figure's shallow breathing, visible through the hood, felt too real. He typed before he could stop himself. Ethan, 42. Is this real? The chat paused. Then, admin. You paid to find out, Ethan, 42. Make a request or watch. His blood ran cold. He hadn't shared his username anywhere. How did they know? He slammed his laptop shut, heart racing. The room felt smaller, the shadows in the corners deeper. He checked the locks on his door, then reopened the laptop. The feed was still there, the figure unchanged. The chat had moved on. User 03, burn the left arm. 0.2 BTC. Admin, confirmed. Watch closely. A masked figure entered the frame, their face obscured by a black balaclava. They picked up the blowtorch, igniting it with a hiss Ethan couldn't hear but could imagine. The bound figure jerked against the restraints as the flame touched their arm. Ethan's hands shook. He wanted to look away, but his eyes were glued to the screen. The chat erupted with demands, sicker, crueler requests. He closed the browser and powered off his laptop, vowing to never touch the dark web again. Sleep didn't come. Every creak of the dorm's old pipes sounded like footsteps. By morning, Ethan was a wreck, his eyes bloodshot. He skipped class, unable to shake the image of the hooded figure. He checked his crypto wallet. Empty. Not just the 0.5 BTC he'd sent, but all of it. His savings, gone. Panic set in. Had he been hacked? He ran a dozen antivirus scans, finding nothing. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Enjoyed the show, Ethan? Want to play again? He dropped the phone, his breath hitching. The message vanished seconds later, as if it had never been sent. He tried tracing the number, but it led nowhere. A burner. Untrackable. He reinstalled Tor, desperate to find the forum again, to confront whoever was behind it. But AbyssHub was gone, the onion link dead. It was as if the site had never existed. Days passed, and Ethan's paranoia grew. He stopped going to classes, stopped eating. His roommate, Jake, noticed the change but didn't push. Ethan couldn't tell him. He'd sound insane. At night, he'd lie awake, convinced he heard whispers through the walls. His laptop, now a source of dread, sat untouched on his desk. But on the fifth night, it powered on by itself. The screen flickered to life, showing the same concrete room. The chair was empty now, the tools neatly arranged. A single line of text appeared in the chat window. Admin. Your turn, Ethan 42. He yanked the power cord, but the laptop stayed on. The webcam light blinked green. His reflection stared back, pale and wide-eyed. But something was wrong. The background wasn't his dorm room. It was concrete, like the Red Room. He spun around, but his room was unchanged. Bed, desk, posters. On the screen, though, the concrete walls loomed. A new message. Admin, look behind you. Ethan froze. His door was locked, the windows shut. He grabbed a baseball bat from under his bed and checked every corner of the room. Nothing. His phone buzzed again. Another text. We see you. He smashed the phone against the wall, shattering the screen. The laptop screen flickered, and the feed changed. It was live, showing his dorm room from an impossible angle. Above his bed, where no camera could be. Ethan's knees buckled. He tore through his room, ripping apart pillows, flipping the mattress, searching for a hidden device. Nothing. The feed kept streaming, now showing him in real time, clutching the bat, sweating and frantic. The chat window filled with messages. User 004. He's freaking out, LOL. User 05, make him scream. 0.3 BTC. Admin. Request accepted. The lights in his room flickered, then died. The laptop's glow was the only illumination, casting long shadows. Ethan backed into a corner, bat raised. The door rattled, though he'd locked it. A low hum filled the air like static from a dead TV. His breath came in short gasps as the door slowly creaked open. No one was there, but the hum grew louder and the shadows seemed to move, coiling like smoke. He swung the bat at nothing, screaming, "Leave me alone!" The laptop screen flashed red, then black. When it lit up again, the feed showed the Red Room. Ethan was in the chair, hooded and bound. He blinked, confused. He was still in his dorm, wasn't he? The bat was gone. His wrists burned as if tied, though he could see his hands free in front of him. The screen showed otherwise. Admin. Choose Ethan 42. What happens next? He typed with trembling fingers. Let me go. Admin. Wrong answer. The tools on the table gleamed under the dim light. The masked figure appeared, holding a knife. Ethan's reflection on the screen screamed, though his real mouth stayed shut. He felt the blade's cold edge against his skin, though nothing touched him. The pain was real, sharp, and searing. He clawed at his arm, but there was no wound, no blood. On the screen, blood poured. The chat went wild. User 006. More. 0.4 BTC. User 007. Break his knees. Ethan's legs buckled, though he was still standing. The pain was unbearable, like his bones were splintering. He collapsed, sobbing, begging the empty room to stop. The laptop wouldn't shut off. The feed looped, showing him in the chair, then in his room, then back in the chair. Reality blurred. Was he here or there? Days bled into nights. Jake found Ethan curled up in the corner, muttering about cameras and rooms. He called campus security, but by the time they arrived, Ethan was gone. His laptop was open, showing a blank screen. The police searched, but the trail was cold. No phone, no wallet, no trace. The dark web swallowed its secrets. Months later, a new thread appeared on AbyssHub. A grainy feed showed a hooded figure in a concrete room. The chat buzzed with bids. User 008. Who's this one? Admin, Ethan 42. Special guest. Name your price. The figure twitched, as if hearing his name. The dark web churned on, its audience insatiable, and Ethan's screams, real or not, echoed in a place no one could find. The glow of my laptop screen was the only light in my cramped apartment, casting long shadows across the walls. It was 2 a.m., and I was deep in a rabbit hole on the dark web, a place I'd stumbled into out of boredom and curiosity. My name's Ethan, a 24-year-old IT student with too much time on his hands and a knack for poking around where I shouldn't. I'd heard the stories, hacked webcams, illegal markets, red rooms, but I thought they were mostly urban legends, exaggerated to scare off newbies like me. That night, I learned how wrong I was. It started innocently enough. I'd been browsing Tor, clicking through onion links on a hidden wiki, looking for something to kill the insomnia. Most of the sites were duds, broken links or sketchy marketplaces selling drugs or counterfeit cash. But then I found a thread on a forum called The Underbelly, buried deep in a subpage. The post was titled, Crimson Cash, the game that finds you. No replies, just a single link and a warning. Don't click unless you're ready to play. Once you start, you can't stop. I smirked. Classic dark web bait, probably a virus or a scam. But the boredom was gnawing at me, and the cryptic vibe was too tempting. I ran my VPN, double-checked my firewall, and clicked the link. The page loaded slowly, a black screen with red text flickering into view. Welcome to the Crimson Cache. You have been selected. Find the keys, unlock the cache, or pay the price. First key, 24 hours. Below it was a countdown timer, already ticking, 23:59 to 47. A download prompt appeared, a file named crimsonkey1.exe. Against my better judgment, I downloaded it, scanned it for malware, clean, and ran it. The file opened a grainy video feed. It was my apartment, my desk, my posters, my unmade bed. My heart stopped. The camera angle was from above my laptop where my webcam sat, its LED dark. I'd taped it over months ago. No way it was active. Yet there I was, staring at myself, the timestamp in the corner reading real time. A distorted voice crackled through my speakers. Find the first key, Ethan. The clock is ticking. I slammed my laptop shut, heart pounding. How did it know my name? I ripped the tape off my webcam, checked the settings, disabled, as always. I unplugged it for good measure, but when I reopened the laptop, the feed was still there. Same angle, same room, now showing me holding the unplugged webcam. The voice returned. You can't hide. The game has begun. Panic set in. I shut down my laptop, yanked the power cord, and sat in the dark, listening to the hum of the city outside. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. 23:45, 12. First key is closer than you think. I blocked the number, but another text came through from a different one. Don't cheat, Ethan. We're watching. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the apartment felt like a threat. By morning, I was a wreck, but I convinced myself it was a prank. Some script kiddie messing with me. I powered up my laptop, ready to wipe the drive, but the Crimson Cache page loaded automatically. The timer was at 18:32:09. The video feed was still active, now showing my apartment in daylight. A new message appeared. Key 1, under the floor. I froze. Under the floor? My apartment was old, with creaky hardwood floors, but I'd never noticed anything unusual. I grabbed a crowbar from my toolbox and started prying up boards near my desk. After an hour of sweating and cursing, I found it. A small metal box buried under a loose plank. Inside was a USB drive labeled Key 1. My hands shook as I plugged it into a spare laptop I kept for testing. Another video loaded. This one wasn't my apartment. It was a dark concrete room lit by a single bulb. A figure sat in a chair, face obscured by a hood, hands bound. The distorted voice spoke. Good work, Ethan. Key 1 unlocked. 2 more to go. Key 2. 24 hours. Follow the map. A file downloaded. A grainy image of a hand-drawn map with coordinates pointing to a spot in the woods an hour from my city. I wanted to stop. Every instinct screamed to call the police. But what would I say? I'd been on the dark web, downloaded a sketchy file, and now I was playing some psycho's game? They'd lock me up for wasting their time. And the texts, they kept coming, from different numbers, each more threatening. Don't tell anyone. We'll know. I drove to the coordinates that night. A clearing in the middle of nowhere. The map led to a tree with a hollowed-out knot. Inside was another USB drive. Key 2. I didn't dare plug it in until I was back home, behind locked doors. The video showed the same concrete room, but now the figure was gone. The chair was empty, blood smeared on the floor. The voice. 1 key left, Ethan. You're so close. Key 3. Your past. My past? I grew up in a boring suburb, no skeletons in my closet. But the game knew my name, my apartment, my life. I tore through old boxes, childhood mementos, anything that might be a clue. Around 3 a.m., I found it. An old photo album from my parents' house, one I hadn't looked at in years. Tucked between the pages was a note. Key 3. The house where you were born. My childhood home was abandoned, condemned years ago after a fire. It was a 4-hour drive, and the timer was down to 10 hours. I didn't have a choice. I grabbed a flashlight, a knife, and drove through the night. The house was a husk. Charred walls, broken windows, the air thick with mold. The front door creaked as I pushed it open, my flashlight cutting through the dark. The note said the key was in the basement. I hadn't been there since I was a kid, but I remembered the stories. My dad saying it was haunted, locking the door to keep us out. The stairs groaned under my weight. The basement was a maze of cobwebs and debris, but in the corner, half buried in ash, was a metal box like the first. Inside was a USB drive, key 3, and a folded piece of paper. It read, "Congratulations, Ethan. Return home to claim the cash." I sped back, the USB burning a hole in my pocket. The timer was at 2:14:03 when I got home. I plugged in the drive, expecting another video, but instead, my screen filled with code. Lines of data streamed, too fast to read, until a final message appeared. "Crimson Cache unlocked. Come see your prize." My apartment door rattled. I grabbed the knife, heart hammering. The rattling stopped, and a package slid under the door. A small, black box. No address, no markings. Inside was a single SD card. I hesitated, then plugged it into my laptop. The video showed me. Not my apartment, not now, but years ago. Me as a kid, playing in my old backyard. The camera zoomed in, impossibly clear, showing my face, my smile. Then it cut to the concrete room. The hooded figure was back, but this time, they looked up. It was me. My face, my eyes staring into the camera, pleading. The distorted voice, "You found the cache, Ethan, but you're already part of it." My phone buzzed. A new text. "Look behind you." I spun around, knife raised, but no one was there. The lights flickered. My laptop screen went black, then lit up again with a live feed of my apartment. I was on it, holding the knife, looking at the screen. The timer hit 0. A knock came from the door. Slow, deliberate. I didn't move. The knock grew louder, faster, until it was a pounding. My phone buzzed again. "Open the door, Ethan. It's time to play again." I don't know how long I sat there, frozen, the pounding echoing in my skull. I haven't opened the door. I can't. The texts haven't stopped, and the feed is still running, showing me sitting here, typing this. I don't know what's out there, but I know one thing. The Crimson Cache isn't a game. It's a trap, and I'm already caught. The glow of the laptop screen was the only light in Ethan's cramped apartment. It was 2:37 a.m., and the city outside his window was silent, save for the occasional wail of a distant siren. Ethan's bloodshot eyes flicked across the screen, his fingers trembling as they hovered over the keyboard. He'd been chasing whispers across the internet for weeks, diving deeper into the dark web than he ever thought he would. It started as curiosity, a morbid fascination with the rumors of red rooms, hidden live streams where the worst of humanity played out in real time. He didn't believe they were real. No one with half a brain did. They were just creepypasta, right? Urban legends spun to scare the gullible. But then he found the link. It was buried in a forum thread on a Tor-hidden site, a string of random characters that looked like gibberish. The post was simple. Red Room, live. 3 a.m. EST. Pay to play. No details, no explanation, just a Bitcoin address and instructions to send 0.5 BTC for access. Ethan's heart had raced as he copied the link, telling himself it was just a scam, a way to fleece idiots who thought they could buy a ticket to a snuff show. He didn't send the Bitcoin. He wasn't that stupid. But he clicked the link anyway. The page loaded slowly, the Tor browser stuttering as it connected to the hidden server. A black screen appeared with a single red timer in the center. 0002217. Below it, a chat window blinked with activity. Anonymous users typed in a mix of excitement and skepticism. User 47x9. This better be real. Paid 0.5 BTC for this shit. Darkenvale. It's fake. Always is. Just watch. It'll be some grainy video loop. Blood Tide. Hope they make it slow this time. Last one was over too quick. Ethan's stomach churned. The timer ticked down. He should close the tab, shut his laptop, and go to bed. But something held him there. A sick pull he couldn't explain. The timer hit 0. The screen flickered, and a video feed appeared. It was a small concrete room, lit by a single red bulb hanging from the ceiling. The walls were stained, streaks of something dark running down to the floor, where a rusty drain sat in the center. In the middle of the room was a metal chair, bolted to the floor. Strapped to it was a man. He was young, maybe in his early 20s, with matted brown hair and wide, terrified eyes. His mouth was gagged with duct tape, and his wrists and ankles were bound with heavy straps. He thrashed against the restraints, his muffled screams barely audible through the low-quality audio. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. This wasn't a movie set. The man's fear was too raw, too real. The chat exploded. Reaper 99, "Holy shit, it's happening!" Silent cut. $100 says they start with the fingers. User 47x9, "Make him scream louder." A figure stepped into frame, their back to the camera. They wore a black hooded jacket and gloves, their movements slow and deliberate. In their hand was a small, glinting object, a scalpel. The figure turned slightly, revealing a white mask with no features, just smooth, blank porcelain. Ethan's heart pounded. He wanted to look away, but his eyes were glued to the screen. The figure raised the scalpel, and the man in the chair screamed through the gag, his body convulsing. The chat erupted with demands, each message more depraved than the last. Ethan's cursor hovered over the X to close the window, but he didn't click it. Instead, he watched as the figure leaned in, the scalpel hovering over the man's trembling hand. Then, something strange happened. The video froze. The chat stopped updating. Ethan frowned, refreshing the page, but the screen went black. A single line of text appeared. "You have been selected." His blood ran cold. Selected? For what? He slammed his laptop shut, his breath ragged. It was a prank, he told himself. Just a stupid scare tactic to mess with viewers. He unplugged his laptop for good measure and crawled into bed, but sleep didn't come. The image of the man in the chair burned behind his eyelids. The next morning, Ethan tried to shake it off. He went to work, sat through meetings, and pretended everything was normal. But his phone buzzed in his pocket all day, notifications from an app he didn't remember installing. Each one was a single word: watch. He deleted the app, but it reappeared an hour later. By evening, he was a wreck, jumping at every shadow in his apartment. At midnight, his laptop turned on by itself. The screen flickered to life, showing the same red room. The man in the chair was gone. The chair was empty, the restraints undone, but the floor was wet with fresh blood. The chat was active again, but the messages were different. User 479, "Where's the show? I paid for this." Darken Veil, "They're picking a new one. Check your DMs." Blood Tide. "Hope it's you, Veil." Ethan's phone buzzed. A new message, this time from an unknown number. "Look behind you." He spun around, heart hammering, but his apartment was empty. The lights flickered, and the laptop screen glitched, showing a new feed. It wasn't the red room this time. It was his apartment. His kitchen. His couch. His bedroom door. The camera was inside his home. Ethan stumbled backward, knocking over a lamp. The feed followed him, the angle shifting as if someone, or something, was holding the camera. He grabbed his phone to call 911, but the screen went black, replaced by the same red timer. 0005E. He ran to the door, but it wouldn't budge. The handle was ice cold, the lock jammed. The windows wouldn't open either, the glass oddly fogged as if something was pressing against it from the outside. His laptop speakers crackled, and a low, distorted voice spoke. "You watched, now you play." The timer hit 0. The lights in his apartment went out, plunging him into darkness. His phone vibrated, and the screen lit up with a new video feed. It was the red room again, but this time, Ethan was in the chair. He screamed, thrashing against the straps, but his body was still in his apartment, standing in the dark. The feed showed him bound, gagged, his eyes wide with terror. It wasn't real, it couldn't be. But the pain was. A sharp sting bloomed in his hand, and he looked down to see blood dripping from his fingers, though there was no wound. The chat was alive again, the anonymous users typing furiously. Reaper 99. "New guy looks fun. Start with the knife." Silent cut. $200 for the eyes first. Blood Tide. "Make it quick. I'm bored." Ethan's phone buzzed with a new message. Choose. Below it were two options: cut or burn. He dropped the phone, backing away, but the screen lit up again, the options pulsing like a heartbeat. The distorted voice returned. Choose, or we choose for you. He didn't want to choose. He didn't want to play their game. But the pain in his hand spread, a burning sensation creeping up his arm. He grabbed the phone and pressed cut, sobbing as he did. The feed showed the masked figure stepping forward, scalpel in hand. Ethan felt the blades bite in his real hand, a shallow slice that drew blood he couldn't see but could feel. The chat cheered. The figure in the feed continued, each cut mirrored by pain in Ethan's body. He screamed until his throat was raw, but no one came. His neighbors didn't hear. The city outside stayed silent. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time blurred in the dark. The feed showed Ethan's body slumping in the chair, blood pooling around the drain. But he was still in his apartment, still standing, still alive. Wasn't he? The voice spoke again. You're a good player. Want to join us? Ethan's phone buzzed with a new link. Against every instinct, he clicked it. A new page loaded, this time with a form. Apply to host. Below it was a Bitcoin address and a promise. Control the room. Choose the players. Live forever. He stared at the screen, his bloodied hand trembling. The pain had stopped, but the feed still showed him in the chair, motionless. The chat had gone quiet, waiting. Ethan's cursor moved to the form, his fingers typing before he could stop himself. He didn't want to die. He didn't want to be the one in the chair. The screen went black. The lights in his apartment flickered back on. His phone was silent, the app gone. The cuts on his hand had vanished, leaving only faint scars. He was alone again, or so he thought. But in the corner of his eye, the laptop screen flickered. The red room was back. The chair was empty. And in the chat, a new user had joined. Player Ethan. Thank you for listening. Hope I didn't scare you too much. If you like my stories, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. See you next time.